जय जिनेन्द्र साहब, जय जिनेन्द्र।
हाँ, सभी को सादर जय जिनेन्द्र।
जय जिनेन्द्र सभी को।
हम्म,
समृद्धि भी आ गए हैं।
हाँ,
वंदा भी समृद्धि।
जय जिनेन्द्र।
आर यू एबल टू हियर? सभी को जय जिनेन्द्र। आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ,
यस आ रही है। जय जिनेन्द्र।
जय जिनेन्द्र।
जय जिनेन्द्र साहब।
नमस्ते।
तो अनिल सर, कैन वी स्टार्ट?
हाँ बिल्कुल, अभी लोग जुड़ रहे हैं वैसे,
ओके।
फिर भी हम शुरू कर सकते हैं।
हाँ।
ओके। एक तो आज ये 5 मिनट थोड़ा सा लेट शुरू करने का आपने लिखा था।
हाँ, वो समृद्धि जी का
हेलो, हाँ भाई साहब, अनिल कुमार जी
साहब, जयनंद साहब,
सबको
डॉक्टर साहब जयनंद। हाँ,
उनका प्रतिक्रमण खत्म होता है इस टाइम पे, इसीलिए उन्होंने
कोई बात नहीं है। हाँ हाँ, नहीं नहीं, ठीक है। हाँ, तो हम ये शुरुआत करते हैं साहब। तो एलसी जैन साहब कहाँ गए?
हेलो जी।
हाँ, एलसी जैन साहब, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप मंगलाचरण करें और उससे फिर हम शुरुआत करते हैं। नवोकार मंत्र से ही शुरुआत करते हैं।
ओके, धन्यवाद धन्यवाद सर। नमो अरिहंताणम, नमो सिद्धाणम, नमो आर्याणम, नमो वज्रायणम, नमो लोहे सव्य साहुणम। ऐसो पंच नमो यारो सव्य पावनाशुणो, मंगलाणम च सव्यसी, पड़वम हवै मंगलम, पड़वम हवै मंगलम।
धन्यवाद। आज ये हमको बड़ी प्रसन्नता की बात है कि आप काफी सीनियर लोग भी जुड़े हैं। जसवंत भाई जी भी जुड़े हैं, मोदी साहब और भी लोग जुड़े हैं, तो सबको स्वागत है। जय हिंद साहब, मोदी साहब। तो हम आज शुरुआत करते हैं। तो अपने बीच में बहुत ही विदुषी समनी जी, डॉक्टर शशि प्रभा जी उपस्थित हैं और उनका अगर प्रोफाइल देखा जाए तो बहुत ही विस्तृत प्रोफाइल है। और आप ये लाडनू विश्व भारती में प्रोफेसर हैं, तुलसी प्रज्ञा की संपादक भी हैं और आपने 3 किताबें लिखी हैं, 50 से ज़्यादा रिसर्च आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुए हैं, 30 से ज़्यादा आर्टिकल्स ऑनलाइन अवेलेबल हैं। तो ऐसी विदुषी हमारे बीच में है। तो आज उनका जो विषय है उस पर वो प्रकाश, मतलब ये अनेकांत के ऊपर उनकी 2 पुस्तकें भी हैं। तो आज उनका जो विषय है सोशल इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ जैन डॉक्ट्राइन, तो इसके ऊपर समनी जी अपना आज व्याख्यान देंगी। तो समनी जी को मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप अपना व्याख्यान शुरू करें। समनी जी, समनी जी सुन पा रही हैं? जी हाँ, माइक जरा अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। हाँ, माइक जरा अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। हाँ, माइक अभी भी बंद है। हाँ हाँ, अब ये चालू हो गया। बोलिए समनी जी।
आपको को होस्ट भी बना दिया है, आपको प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर करना हो तो।
समनी जी प्रारंभ करिए।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, 1 मिनट।
हाँ हाँ, नो प्रॉब्लम।
Am I audible?
इम्प्लीकेशन या एप्लीकेशन?
हाँ समनी जी, आवाज अभी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है, शायद ये पूर्वी जी की आवाज है क्या?
ये मेरी आवाज है, पूर्वी की।
हाँ, तभी समनी जी की आवाज शुरू नहीं हुई।
आवाज नहीं आ रही है?
हाँ, अब आई।
हाँ, आ रही है।
पूर्वी, you are the host.
अल्पश-
Purvi, are you the host?
Yes,
Okay, you will take care of it.
yes, sir.
Oh, okay, very good. वंदामी समणी जी, वंदना करता हूँ।
अर्हं अर्हं
जी।
अल्पश्रुतं श्रुतवतां परिहासधाम त्वद्भक्तिरेव मुखरीकुरुते बलान्मां यत्कोकिलः किल मदो मधुरं विरौति तच्चारुचाम्रकलिकानि करैकहेतु तच्चारुचाम्रकलिकानि करैकहेतु। His Holiness Acharya Mahashramanji and all the distinguished outstanding professors, learned scholars of jazz. Today I am feeling very much fortunate enough to express my views in the platform of jazz on the topic social implication of Jain doctrines. Today I want to dedicate this lecture to His Holiness my Diksha Guru Acharya Mahapragya Ji, who has inspired me to work on this topic as a PhD research. So I dedicate this lecture to His Holiness Acharya Mahapragya Ji. So the crux, the general notion is that the three principles of Jainism, that is Ahimsa, Anekant, and Aparigraha, they are considered having the social relevance. And I also had the same intention, same notion when I began the research. But I want to mention my academic mentor, Professor K.C. Sogani, who has widened my horizon of thinking and horizon of my perspective to understand that not only Ahimsa, Aparigraha, Anekant has the social relevance in the society, these three doctrines, but almost all the metaphysical, epistemological, ethical doctrines of Jainism has its own social relevance. So today I am going to introduce my topic, social implication of Jain doctrines. Next. I'm not able to pass the next slide. Anil ji, I'm not able to pass the next slide.
इसमें आप ये नीचे वो वहाँ आइकॉन बना है, उसको स्लाइड शो का, उसमें एक एक करके आप उसको क्लिक करती जाइए, आ जाएगा, बॉटम में है।
स्क्रीन तो शेयर हो रहा है ना?
हाँ, इनकी हाँ हो रहा है, शेयर हो रहा है। अभी साइड में जो सेकंड स्लाइड है उस पर आ जाइए आप, कोई बात नहीं।
हाँ. So the crux of my speech is that the crux of my speech today is that it's a general notion. Tirthankar Mahavira told that he worked for the social changes by transforming the individual through various religious disciplines. He seems to be aware of the fact that the emphasis merely on individual progress without taking note of social responsibility is hazardous both for an individual and the society. Emphasizing on the very same view, Sir Pratt also commented, religion that ignores society has no chance of survival. But Jainism maintained its identity and existence in the wake of lots of natural calamities and cultural influences and passed on the social relevance of eco-friendly Jain principles from generation to generation. So this is the book of PhD doctoral So in this book, I have highlighted the wide implication of social principles. So the entire thesis, entire book of mine, this thesis is dependent upon the social transformation via individual transformation. Because without transformation of individual, we cannot even imagine the social transformation as a whole. So Lord Mahavira propounded the code of conduct for householders and made an experiment which resulted in the birth of a society free from the attitudes that are rooted in consumerism, hedonism, and acquisitiveness. Half of a million men and women told themselves as the members of this new society. If the tradition had made headway and developed further, the formation of a new healthy society would have grown in size and stature, but it has not happened. Actually, during the period of Lord Mahavira, he propounded two levels of code of conduct, one for the householders anuvratas and other for the mendicants, that is the monks and nuns, mahavratas. So these two categories of code of conduct is propounded only by Mahavira. And through this code of conduct, he wanted to establish the social transformation via individual transformation. So still many Western scholars like Shubring, Witten assert that Jain literature is an ascetic literature because of the spiritual asceticism therein. It is incorrect to say that Jain doctrines are only concerned with the conduct of mendicants. Many scholars have this sort of misplaced belief that the Jain principles of Ahimsa, Anekant, and Aparigraha, etc., are concerned only with the individual upliftment and have nothing to do with the social upliftment. The importance of today's talk lies in the re-establishment of the social relevance of Jain doctrines along with the individual progress. So, as all of you know, that there are three fundamental branches of philosophy: metaphysics, epistemology, axiology, and even praman mimamsa, logic. But here I am going to deal that Jain doctrines, metaphysical Jain doctrines, epistemological Jain doctrines, and axiological, that is ethical Jain doctrines. Because these three branches of philosophy paves us the path towards the path of liberation. And these are the fundamental branches of philosophy. If you want to understand any philosophy, we must go in depth of these concepts, these four pillars of Jain philosophy, that is metaphysics, epistemology, axiological. Now I am going to deal one by one the social implication of metaphysical doctrines, social implication of Jain epistemological doctrines, social implication of Jain ethical doctrines, social implication of Jain spiritual doctrines, and the fifth one is social problems, the present burning issues like global warming, environmental pollution, corruption, domestic violence, dowry, and all these, and materialistic lifestyle, non-vegetarian lifestyle, and medical test on these animals. What are these social burning problems, and how Jain principles can address these problems and paves the path to the solution of these problems. So I think it will be a very long, wide implication of Jain doctrines. So today I'm going to only discuss upon the social implication of Jain metaphysical doctrines. And I think later on we can continue this lecture with all the other aspects of this concept topic. So social implication of metaphysical doctrines. In this, I am going to discuss the Jain concept of Sat, reality. That I am going to discuss Utpad Vay Dravya. I am going to discuss in the context of Anekant. So I am skipping this today, but at the same time, I want to highlight the social significance of acceptance of the Jain doctrine of karma philosophy. So to understand the Jain philosophy of karma, first we have to understand that Jain concept of denial of God as creator, sustainer, and destroyer. So the question regarding the existence of God, a long journey of debates went on between the various schools of Indian Western philosophy. To introduce the concept of karma philosophy and its relevance, I am going to highlight that the concept of God, which is accepted in Indian and Western schools of thought, that God is creator, sustainer, and destroyer of this universe. And in Indian philosophy also, Nyaya Vaisheshik, Sankhya, Yoga, and even Vedant philosophy, they consider Ishwar as the material cause of bondage of karmas and giver of fruition of karmas to the Jivatmas. So this is the concept which is accepted in Indian philosophy. What is the concept of God? Basically, it is considered that Jain philosophy is atheist philosophy. Okay, so but I want to highlight that Jain philosophy is theist philosophy. And all the other Indian schools of philosophy, they consider God as one supreme God, as Brahma or Ishwar. The concept of infinite gods in Jainism. As per Jainism, each soul is potentially God and can attain the state of godhood by destroying one's karmas by self-disciplines. Okay, so I want to highlight that Jain philosophy is not atheist philosophy, it is theist philosophy. It was the what you call Vedantin's definition. Veda Nindako Nastika. So whoever misbelieves or disobeys Vedas are considered as Nastik. But this definition is not fit in the field of Jain philosophy, because Jain philosophy accepts the concept of God, but Paramatma, not in the sense of creator, sustain, destroyer, but each soul, concept of infinite souls, and each soul is potentially God, and each one of the soul can attain the state of Godhood. This is the concept of Jain philosophy. If we believe in this concept of God, then what happens? What will be the consequence in our day-to-day behavior? What will be its social reflection in the society? As Jains believe in the power of self, they neither endorse the responsibility to God for the bondage and fruition of karmas, nor for creation and destruction. I want to highlight the benefits of denying the dependence on God and how good and evil actions pave the way for individual independence. And in this stage, one may not get the chance of blaming the God or other circumstances for one's own present state of life. So the significance of Tirthankar Mahavira's revolutionary thought in the spiritual field was the upholding of the concept of karma in the place of creator God. He said that man is the architect of his own destiny and he can rise only by his own efforts and not by the grace of any external agency. So before introducing the theory of karma, I just want to highlight what actually the theory of karma is. Actually, the entire cosmos is filled with the karmic energetic field. Okay, whenever any sansari atma or mundane soul having the karmic body, if it attracts the ashravas, influx of karmas from the outside world through mental, physical, and verbal actions and one's own intensity of the passions. So, what is the mechanism of karma? There is complete. Indian philosophy also believe in the theory of karma, but the systematic mechanism of karma, as expressed in Jain philosophy, is not so in detail in other schools of Indian thought. So, what is karma? Karmic mechanism. Karma is material by its nature. This is really an innovative idea given by Tirthankar Mahavira. Although karma particles are scattered throughout the universe, but those material atoms are not karma. Unless and until those material atoms are absorbed by the self through the threefold actions, they are merely material atoms. As soon as the self attracts the material atoms through threefold action, mental, verbal, and physical, those material atoms take or acquire the standard or nomenclature as karma. As soon as the karmas are interconnected, karmic chemical reaction begins at once. By karmic particles or matter, We mean here those molecules which are attracted and glued to the spirit owing to a particular action of the spirit. They associate with the spirit or soul to form the karmic body. On the maturity of a specified time, those karmic particles produce some specific experiences in the form of the results and dissociate from the soul. They are called karmic particles. So as per Jain philosophy, no action is futile. Every action has bondage with it. So it is rightly said in Tattva Sutra, good actions cause the inflow of auspicious karma and evil actions cause the inflow of inauspicious karma. So what is the cause of bondage and liberation as per the Jain philosophy? It is rightly said, Ashravo bhav hetu syat samvaro moksha karanam itiya maharati drishti ranyadasyah prapanchanam. It means आश्रव संसार में परिभ्रमण का हेतु है और संवर मोक्ष का हेतु है. Influx is the main cause of worldly wandering and samvar, inhibition, main cause of liberation. So this is the essence of Jinshasan. So what is ashrav? It is nothing but karma karshan heturatma parinama ashravah. It means कर्मों के आने के द्वार को आश्रव कहते हैं. It is the unless and until soul is bound by the karmas, it attracts the karmic particles. So if any person wants to stop the inflow of karmic particles, they must stop the first whole of the अव्रत का छेद को बंद करना पड़ेगा. जब तक आश्रव रूपी अव्रत का छेद बंद नहीं होगा, तो such effort you are seeing, if there is hole in the ship, how it can flow in the water, in the ocean. So making efforts which bring no result. So first of all, we should stop the inflow of karma, the cause of inflow of karma, that is ashrav. How we can stop this? That is samvar. Ashrav nirodha samvar hai. कर्मों को रोकना ही संवर है. Now how to stop this karmas? Through samyaktva, vrat, apramad, akashar, ayog. I don't want to go in detail because I'm going to discuss the social relevance. And nirjara. This is the way. Tapasa karma vichchedatma nirmalyam nirjara. That is, कर्मों के अर्गाव से होने वाली आत्मा की शुद्धि को निर्जरा कहते हैं. So निर्जरा is two types, सकम and अकाम. सकाम निर्जरा वह है जो मोक्ष की आकांक्षा से की जाती है. अकाम निर्जरा वह है जो बिना मोक्ष की आकांक्षा के ऐसे नेचुरली की जाती है, जो अभवी जीव आदि करते हैं. सो जो 12 प्रकार के जो निर्जरा के भेद, तप के भेद है, बाह्य तप के 6 प्रकार है, एक्सटर्नल पेनेंस के, अंशन उमोदरी भिक्षाचरी रस परित्याग काय क्लेश संलीनता. अभ्यंतर तप के भी 6 प्रकार है, प्रायश्चित विनय व्यावृत्ति स्वाध्याय ध्यान और वित्सर्ग. तो इन 12 प्रकार की निर्जरा के भेदों से कर्मों का क्रमिक क्षरण होता है. तो संपूर्ण कर्मों का क्षय दैट इज मोक्ष है. कृष्ण कर्म क्षयात्म मोक्ष है. तो संपूर्ण कर्मों का क्षय हो जाना और अपने स्वरूप को प्राप्त करना दैट इज मोक्ष. अनंत ज्ञान, अनंत दर्शन, अनंत शक्ति, अनंत आनंद, जो आत्मा का मूल स्वरूप है उसमें अवस्थित हो जाना दैट इज मोक्ष. सो व्हाट इज सोल? व्हेन ऑल द इम्प्यूरिटीज दैट इज आश्रव के सारे जब निकल जाते कार्मिक पार्टिकल्स, देन इट इज कॉल्ड लिबरेशन. सो एज पर कर्म फिलॉसफी, as you sow, so shall you live. Whatever action we perform, we have to experience its fruition. Nobody is going to experience the good or bad result of your own actions. So these are the few fundamental questions regarding the philosophy of karma. I don't want to go in detail of these questions, but I will discuss what is the relevance of these questions in the context of social significance of Jain karmas. कर्म बलवान है या आत्मा? अमूर्त आत्मा के मूर्त कर्म कैसे संबंधित होते हैं? आत्मा कर्म का अनादि संबंध है, तो अनादि कर्म का अंत कैसे होता है? कर्म जड़ है, फिर वे फल कैसे देते हैं? क्या कर्म फल ईश्वराधीन है या स्वतः उसमें फलदान की शक्ति है? क्या कर्म से मुक्त होने में आत्मा की स्वतंत्रता का कोई स्थान है? क्या जीव अपने सुख दुख का संविभाग कर सकता है? So in all these questions जो ये उभरते हैं, इन सब प्रश्नों का एक ही उत्तर है कि जैन दर्शन यह मानता है दो प्रकार के कर्म है, दलित कर्म और निकाचित कर्म। दलित कर्म को बदल सकते हैं, निकाचित कर्म को जो बंधे हुए निकाचित कर्म बंध है उसको हम बदल नहीं सकते हैं, उसको हम निकाचित कर्म बंध को भोगने में क्या जैन दर्शन कर्म फल को ईश्वराधीन मानता है? तो जैन दर्शन ये कर्म फल को ईश्वराधीन नहीं मानता है, क्योंकि अप्पा कत्ता विकत्ता इस सिद्धांत को मानता है। तो इसलिए कोई भी जो कर्म है वो ईश्वराधीन नहीं है, व्यक्ति के स्वयं के कर्तव्य पर आधारित है। और क्या जीव अपने सुख दुख का संविभाग करते हैं? जैन फिलोसफी बिलीव करता है कि हम किसी को भी अपना सुख दुख संविभाग नहीं कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि भगवान महावीर ने ठीक ही कहा है, पत्ययम पुण्य पाम, पुण्य और पाप व्यक्ति का खुद का अपना होता है, वह किसी को अपना सुख दुख या पुण्य पाप संविभाग नहीं कर सकता है। So social implication of Jain theory of karma. In this concept, I am going to highlight 5 points: law of personal responsibility, change of karma versus doctrine of self-effort, that is Purusharthvad, doctrine of karma and non-transference of merit, theory of Atma Kartitwavad, equanimity in bearing karmas leading to liberation. So these are the 5 principles which highlight that even the Jain theory of karma has its own social significance. So the main difference between the existence of God and the theory of karma is that in case of God, moral responsibility of an individual is transferred to the Almighty God. And on the other hand, theory of karma places a strong foundation and endorses moral responsibility of each and every action to oneself. It made him self-centered but not selfish. So the doctrine of karma is a revolutionary development which endowed man with free will, made him responsible for his own acts and the architect of his destiny. The doctrine of karma is a doctrine of personal responsibility for a man's entire actions. So each man is responsible for his own actions and he alone has to bear their consequences. It is also an essential feature of the doctrine that a person must do well and avoid evil. So second is the concept of Purusharthvad, that is, in Jainism, moral responsibility of each and every karma is not endorsed to the God, but it falls under the orbit of the individual self. This novel concept of moral responsibility of the individual self, which is based on the philosophy of karma, can restrain the human race from blaming others for one's good or bad actions and one's happiness or misery. Although it is sure and certain that bound karmas must be experienced by the self some way or the other way after the completion of duration of those particular karmas. As per Jain philosophy, there are 2 types. One is Dalit karma and other is Nikachit karma. When the intensity of bondage is extremely strong, it has to be suffered as it is. It cannot be mitigated. Such karmas are of Nikachit nature. They cannot be changed in any case. The other part of Dalit karmas, which occupies the maximum space in the karmic range, is changeable. The unchangeable part of Nikachit karma is very small. On the basis of that small part of unchangeable karma, we cannot declare that we cannot change our destiny or bound karmas. So the Tirthankar Mahavira possessed anikantic perspective. He did not give absolute importance either to karma or to self-effort. He established the relativity of soul and karma. If we assert that once the karmas are bound, can't be altered in any case, then there will be no scope of transformation through meditational practices or to suggestions and practice of different kinds of austerities. One should not give up one's hard work or efforts by giving importance to the small range of unchangeable Nikachit karmas. The our punya karmas or punya dan to others. So Jain thinkers believe the concept of karma as being material in character. There is influx of karmas into the soul on account of performance of karmas, and the same could be purged by appropriate, but there could be no question of transfer of karmas as expected in Smritis, Puranas, and Vedas. The sharing, inheritance, or transfer of evil karmas is contrary to the doctrine of karmas, which postulates an exclusively personal responsibility for good and evil karma. But we find traces of the belief in sharing, inheritance, and transfer of evil karmas in early literature like Rig Veda, Atharvaveda, etc. They believe in the non-transference of merit. The doctrine of karma, which strongly emphasizes the element of personal responsibility for action that each person enjoys and suffers the consequence of his own acts, and there is no transference of merit. Nobody can share one's suffering and pleasure to others. Neither his kinsmen, nor his friends, nor his sons, nor his relatives will share his suffering. He alone has to bear it, whether it is happiness or suffering, for the karma follows the doer. Tattaramevam anujai kammam. Natasya dukkham rupayanti nayo namitta vaggana suyana banda. Ekko sayam pachanu hoi dukkham tattaramevam anujai kammam. In Uttradin Sutta, it is rightly said, we cannot share our karmas, only the doer of the karma can enjoy the results of the karma. Nearest or dearest, whosoever is, nobody can share or transfer one's as per Jainism. That is the theory of Atmakartatva. As all of you know, Lord Mahavira rightly said, Appa katta vikattaya, duhanaya suhanaya, Appa mittam amittam cha, duppatya supatya. It means soul experiences joy and sorrow according to own karma. If there is no law of karma, it means a complete abrogation of the law of karma by permitting an evil doer to escape the consequences of his misdeeds by transferring the same to someone else and thereby make an innocent person suffer for the same. According to Jainism, your soul is responsible for both good and evil karmic bondage. It creates both pain and pleasure for itself. Neither God nor anybody else nor any object is responsible for them. Thus, Mahavira propounded the concept of Atma Kartritva, that is, the theory of creation by the self. In matters of pleasure and pain, the worldly soul is solely responsible for them, as self does all its action consciously and automatically encouragement to moral values in life occurs. So, through this Atma Kartritva, one experiences the moral responsibility of each and every action on the self itself. So this is the greatest relevance of karma theory, that we can create a society bereft of crimes and punishment if we follow, if we believe in the theory of karma and act accordingly, that each and every action which I perform, whether it is good or bad, I am going to reap its result. Once this deep conviction is understood by each and every citizen of the world, I think the world can be free of crimes and punishments. Crime-free society can be built. And last is the establishment of equanimity and leading towards the liberation. Once we believe in the theory of karma, it means that we can destroy these karmas by our self-effort, by auspicious actions. The soul in its dynamic march through worldly lives is constantly earning and shedding karmas. It earns further karmic bondages even while suffering the fruits of the past karmas. If it does not suffer the set fruits with equanimity and objectivity, if you are operating